Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another REDSHORT webinar. Today's webinar, we will be discussing the recent FireEye and SolarWinds breaches and the possible breach of U.S. government organizations. A link to a related article will be made in the chat box below, and it's also on the slide here. Several high-profile breaches have been recently reported affecting major cybersecurity and IT companies, and possibly affecting multiple government agencies. We'll discuss things chronologically, beginning with FireEye. On December 8th, the cybersecurity firm FireEye reported a breach in which internal software tools were stolen. The stolen tools, known as red team tools, are used by the company to perform penetration tests of client IT assets. While some of the tools were private and not meant to be publicly available, FireEye did distribute some of them on their GitHub account freely in the Commando VM. It's an open source virtual machine toolkit for penetration testing. It's important to note that the stolen tools do not contain any zero-day vulnerabilities. That is to say, every vulnerability that the tools exploit is known, and in some cases for years, and patches are available to counter them. FireEye has released a list of prioritized CVE'S that the tools exploit that should be patched to counter their red team tools. That list here is on the slide. And it's also available in the accompanying article published on redskyalliance.org. Additionally, indicators of compromise in the form of YARA rules, snort rules, and AV detection signatures were published to detect the usage of these tools in the wild, and that information can also be found on the company's GitHub. In their press release, FireEye concluded, the breach was performed by a nation with top-tier offensive capabilities, but stopped short of naming a specific nation. The attackers were also noted by FireEye to act with extremely disciplined and focused operational security to hide their presence and identity. The tools and techniques that were used to hide their activities from forensic and security monitoring software, and the attackers also concentrated on seeking information relating to government entities. On December 13th, FireEye reported that their discovery of a global reaching supply chain campaign directly resulting from the December 8th breach investigation. Indicators of compromise were observed from compromised organizations dating back to April 2020. The attackers modified legitimate software updates for the SolarWinds Orion network monitoring product and uploaded them to the SolarWinds software update website. From there, customers who downloaded and installed the update from SolarWinds unknowingly also installed the attached malware. This malware does not self-propagate. Instead, the malware requires the victim to manually download and install the malicious update to spread. The malicious DLL included in the malware gives attackers backdoor access to infected systems. FireEye is calling this backdoor SUNBURST, and the capabilities include gathering information from the infected system, including the system's public domain name, doing network interface enumeration, process and service enumeration, and also gathering a list of installed drivers. The backdoor can also read, write, and delete registry keys, read, write, and delete files, start and stop processes, and reboot the system. FireEye noted the attackers that breached SolarWinds also possessed top-tier operational tradecraft and resourcing consistent with state-sponsored threat actors. They prioritize stealth by minimizing their use of malware and by masquerading their network traffic as legitimate SolarWinds Orion traffic. Command and control infrastructure host names were configured to match legitimate host names found in the victim's infrastructure. And additionally, command and control infrastructure was deployed using virtual private servers within the same country as the victim to decrease the amount of suspicious network traffic from foreign countries. FireEye published an extensive set of SUNBURST IOCs and countermeasures on GitHub, including YARA rules, snort rules, and AV signatures. Very little information has been published so far regarding post-exploitation activities. One specific payload that is mentioned by FireEye is the Cobalt Strike beacon payload. Cobalt Strike is a popular, commercially available tool used by penetration testers, and the beacon payload can be used to perform any action on target that the attacker desires. Excuse me, it can be used interactively, or it can be configured to go dormant for a period of time, and then check in with the attacker's C2 infrastructure periodically to receive tasks to perform. Additional information on post-exploitation activities may become available as the investigation progresses. Regarding targeting, the campaign seems to have been broad in its targeting, since any organization that downloaded and installed a malicious Orion update could have been infected. FireEye mentions specifically the following industries in North America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, to include government, consulting, technology, telecommunications, and extractive. A list of SolarWinds customers has since been removed from their website, but could provide a potential victim list. This list contains many large and powerful government agencies, defense contractors, financial institutions, and telecommunications companies. Also on December 13th, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security issued Emergency Directive 21-01. The directive mandated that all federal agencies either begin forensic examination of systems hosting SolarWinds Orion software or disconnect them from the network. The systems were then to be checked for the presence of 2 indicators of compromise and reported to CISA as a breach incident if found. The IOCs are listed here on the slide. The presence of solarwinds.orion.core.businesslayer.dll with the file hash listed, and also the presence of netsetup.svc.dll. CISA also included the phrase other indicators to be shared by CISA. It's not clear if CISA currently possesses additional IOCs that they wish to remain secret, or if the provision was included to cover any additional IOCs that become available after issuing the directive. Since the release of the emergency directive, the government has been tight-lipped about the incident. While it is possible that the SolarWinds and FireEye breaches are unrelated and coincidental, there is a circumstantial case to be made for their relation. First of all, the time frame of discovery is very short. Both breaches were discovered just days apart. And the SolarWinds breach was discovered as a direct result of investigating the FireEye breach. Attackers in both breaches are characterized as top-tier state-sponsored organizations acting with discipline, focus, and stealth, and minimal malware was deployed in both cases. So who are the top-tier cyber powers in the world? Well, rankings may vary depending on whose list you look at. But for our purposes, we use the 2020 National Cyber Power Index published by the Harvard Kennedy School Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs. Here we see the US tops the list at number 1, with Australia and Israel tied for 10th place. Considering the nations on this list, Russia and China have both actively targeted either US government agencies or defense contractors in the past, and are rated highly in terms of cyber capability. While a large portion of the security community is pointing their finger at Russia, it is important that we do not discount Chinese involvement due to the amount of industrial espionage that could be performed through the exploitation of SolarWinds customers, especially in defense technologies. Unsurprisingly, Russian officials deny any involvement. Also keep in mind it's still very early in the investigation, and there will likely be more developments as things progress. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed the material and found it useful. If you missed any of our previous REDSHORT report webinars, you can find them at redskyalliance.org/redshorts. If you're not yet a member, you will need to sign up, but your membership is free and will give you access to all types of Red Sky Alliance content. Our REDSHORT webinars will be pausing for the holidays. Season's greetings and warm wishes for the coming year.